How do you defend against threats that don't just target systems, but actively manipulate people? As AI continues to evolve, attackers are getting better at blending in, crafting messages that feel authentic, impersonating trusted contacts, and exploiting human behavior at scale. The result is a new class of threats that bypass traditional defenses and land directly in front of users. This shift is forcing organizations to rethink their approach. It's no longer enough to secure the perimeter. Security strategies now have to account for how people communicate, collaborate, and make decisions in real time. Proofpoint has been a leader in this space, helping organizations protect their users across email, cloud, and digital channels by combining threat intelligence, behavioral insights, and AI-driven detection. Joining me today is McLaughlin from Proofpoint to discuss how adversaries are evolving their tactics and what organizations can do to better protect their people in this new era of AI-driven threats. Hi, Ben.
Hi, JJ.
Thank you for taking time out of your very busy and efficient week and just sitting with me to have a conversation.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So, I'm a marketer. I love a good story. So, tell us your story. How did you get into cybersecurity and to the point where you're at today?
Yeah, well, actually, I started off on the IT side, and I worked for Seagate for many years, and eventually became the CIO for the global semiconductor division. Then we had a massive issue in our manufacturing footprint from a security standpoint, so I worked to make that better for a couple of years, and then I came across here from Ireland to the Bay Area to help start up the Seagate Live Cloud business, and did that for another couple of years, and then eventually I moved on to Proofpoint, where I am now for the past 2 years.
I always like asking this question. If you didn't do cybersecurity, what would your career path be?
I'd be an astronaut.
Excellent. And why?
I just love space since I was a little kid, and I've met a couple of moonwalkers, and yeah, that's what I would do for sure if I had the choice.
Cybersecurity does have that bit of exploration of
Yeah,
the unknown too, so I can
for
see the
sure.
parallel there,
For sure.
definitely. What's your perspective as a CISO on the current operating environment, the current threat landscape? Obviously, we all know AI and agentic security is I don't even know if it's the buzzword anymore. I think it's here to stay. So, how would you describe the current operating environment as a CISO?
So I think we're at an inflection point for sure. So now we have decision making transitioning now to machines, and that's where that autonomy is happening. And so really the pace of innovation is really outstripping the pace of governance. And so I think before the CISO role was about protecting systems and looking for adversaries and responding to threats. So now it's really about trying to figure out how to govern decision making. So how do we put the right telemetry, the right monitoring, and make sure that, I think what's really different now is the combination of speed and autonomy. And so how do we scale governance at the same pace as innovation?
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, governance and governing AI, right? We're in this kind of almost seems like the wild west of AI, where you've got shadow AI and people bringing in tools and, security wants to be the enabler, but with something as new as AI, I would imagine you have to balance that with governance and guardrails. How do you think about that as a CISO?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think, it's not about slowing things down. It's about moving fast, but with control. So how do you put guardrails? How do you put observability around the decision making that machines are now making? And how do you ensure that that decision making stays aligned with business intent over time? And it's operating at scale and operating at speed.
Many boards are still learning to interpret cyber risk and be more cyber literate. So you as a CISO, what does an effective conversation between you and the board look like?
So I think an effective conversation with the board is grounded in a common understanding of risk. And I think, the most important thing is to move the conversation away from a technical one to more about business impact. It's about resilience. It's about understanding how well the organization is going to perform under stress. And I think that requires a common language. So I think if we can frame it in those terms, then I think it becomes a much more meaningful conversation with the board. So at its best, cybersecurity becomes part of how the board governs the business, not something that it reviews after the fact.
You joined Proofpoint at a time when, the company was growing and evolving rapidly. So I think with that is probably inherent complexity that you inherit, whether it's through acquisitions or just growth and scale of the business. So, how do you manage that and how do you decide where to focus first from a security and governance perspective?
Yeah, so I think when you inherit complexity, the first thing that you should do is try to build an end-to-end perspective on risk. And really that involves establishing a risk register to make sure that everyone's aligned on what the most important aspects are. And then I think it's really around focus and prioritization because we can't solve everything. So we can get the business focused on the right things at the right time, then we can help manage risk and pull it down over time.
Absolutely. So Proofpoint protects thousands of organizations worldwide. We have the additional challenge of securing companies when you are a cybersecurity company and securing your own company being a cybersecurity company. So, how does that change your perspective, or does it, on risk and responsibility?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really changes how you think about responsibility. And so, as we think about protecting our own customers, that really starts with how we operate ourselves, our own security posture, our own discipline, and how we make sure we're managing risk, enterprise risk across the business. And so, I think it forces you to take a more holistic view of risk in general. So, how threats evolve, how they could impact customers, how you build resilience across your own enterprise and your own products.
Mhm.
I think it also forces us to think about intelligence-driven defense. Making sure that we understand what's active in the landscape today, and really continuously validating that our controls are effective. So trust, is really what it comes down to in the end, and that trust isn't claimed; it's something that you earn through execution.
So it's a great segue to my next question around what a true strategic partnership looks like between a security leader and a technology provider. Talk a little bit about the partnership that we have between Proofpoint and CrowdStrike, and how does your CrowdStrike partnership support this?
Yeah, well, I think CrowdStrike, of course, has been a great partner for us, and really, what really reflects a great partnership is a partner that understands your risk model and is able to integrate into how you operate, and really that's going to make you improve over time. And so, a true partnership is one with a partner that really understands your risk model and is able to integrate with how you operate and ultimately is able to help you improve over time. So at that point, then it doesn't become about vendor management. It's more about a shared accountability for risk at the end of the day. So the real test of a partnership is whether that partner helps you to become more resilient over time.
Well, clearly, we're in the AI era. Um, Not just in the technology that we provide to the market, but in how you're building, resilience and security and governance internally at Proofpoint. So, what excites you the most about AI? What concerns you the most? What keeps you up at night about AI?
Well, we're clearly at a moment in time. What excites me is the opportunity. So AI is really accelerating how business gets done, how decisions are made. And I think that's where the tremendous opportunity is, the autonomy that comes with that. What concerns me is that autonomy moving to machines without governance. So, from a leadership perspective, it's really how you govern AI. It's how you define authority, how you make it observable, and how you make sure it stays aligned to the business intent here as we go forward. So, I think the organizations that will be successful won't be the ones that move quickly, but the ones that move quickly with control.
Well said. Okay, excellent. Ben, thank you so much. We really, really enjoyed hearing your story and hearing your thoughts. And thank you for being a great customer and partner.
Thank you so much for having me.